What's up, everybody? We have a game with the white pieces against Faster Than Night. We take the full control over the center, and he plays e6 b6 setup. We know he's going to fiend Keto and pressure this pawn, so I'm just developing and protecting ahead of time. He's going to apply further pressure to this pawn, so we'll keep it in mind, and we'll develop the knight and overprotect it. He pins the knight, which undefends the pawn. So we're going to go queen e2, which overprotects the pawn and develops a piece. And we say we don't care if you take our knight. So he applies pressure to the pawn, but it is defended enough times. So let's kick the bishop, get it off of our side of the board, and see if he wants to trade for the knight. He can't go back because it gets trapped, so he trades. This doubled pawn is good in that it protects our center. With a pawn, we don't have to waste pieces. I already like white's position. Black castles. He doesn't really have weaknesses, but he's also has no pawn presence in the center. Bishop g5, but we always consider e5. If he jumps in the center, I think that wins immediately. Here, he jumps in the center. Queen e4, threatening checkmate in 1. If he goes f5 on passant, still checkmate in 1. If he blocks the checkmate in 1, I go c4. He can't move the knight because the bishop's pinned. I also would have a Greek gift sacrifice if my knight was already here. If you just kick the knight, and he's going to jump forward. Doesn't this just win? So I'm threatening these two things. Unless he can make my queen leave this diagonal, his bishop's going to hang, right? Or the knight, something. The only way to attack the queen, though, is this. And then en passant, and then knight back, but that hangs the bishop. So it didn't look like he did anything wrong, but if you don't have a pawn presence in the center and you develop a minor piece, it's going to get kicked around, or it could be kicked around. That's why you don't just develop your knights, because if they just push their pawn in the center, your knight has to move, like in the Alekhines. So usually you put at least one pawn in the center to stop that from happening. And now he's like, oh, whoops. But that's what happens when you let us get a pawn on e5. A pawn on e5 gives white attacking chances towards the king by opening lines and creating space and removing the defender. So he just plays a modest move so he can develop, saying, okay, I know I'm going to lose a piece. I might as well lose the knight, not the bishop. If we take this and he takes this, he hits our queen and the pawn behind it. So if you defend the pawn and he kicks the queen and you go here, I think you can defend this square. So let's do that. Now that we're up material, I'm threatening to go bishop e4, forcing the trade. Because his bishop is his best piece, his only developed piece, and the only piece that's really going to be pretty good in this game for him. And even if he could take this rook, and let's say we get the bishop back somehow with our other rook, that's still kind of good for us. 2 minors for the rook, plus all these weaknesses, and of course we don't want to give him the rook. And now he's thinking. He might throw in a move like this, but that can't be good for him. So he just develops the knight, but now his bishop is almost trapped, I want to say. So c4, f5, queen back, f4. Well, then we can just move our queen here after f5, and then then he has bishop. Okay, so f5 en passant. I'm gonna trap his bishop. Forget forcing the trade of bishops. He blocked his diagonal. His last 2 moves were... Wait, was it? No, it wasn't. Never mind. But he did block his own diagonal. He's pressuring the center, but you're hanging another piece. Guy, you got to stop hanging your minor pieces. Show him some respect. Sacrificing them is okay, but hanging them is disrespectful. And now he's going again. Whoops. Second whoops. Yeah, that's infuriating. Is he going to resign? Is he going to lash out with a crazy move? I wouldn't be able to stay composed if I was him and just play like nice normal chess again after losing 2 pieces like that. But maybe he's more mature than me, so. Okay, so he gets a pawn for the troubles. That's calm and collected. He didn't lash out or do anything, so he is more mature. He takes here. I'm not going to take back, probably. I'm going to hit the rook instead. Maybe I should have hit the queen and put it in here. Oh well. Whoops. So he moves the rook. Maybe I should do that now. Here, here, here. Yeah, I think I should have started with that. It's okay. Because I want to go here and here. Oh, that's not the move. That's a queen trade. I'm pretty sure I'm up 2 pieces. Does he not know this? Let's challenge his only good piece. Oh no, he's forking us. Let's not do that. Let's long castle with 0 pawns in front of us. Because that's the coolest move on the board. It develops our piece. If he puts a rook here, we're going to take it. So he does this, which hits our bishop for 1 turn, but I mean, who cares? I'm going to go here because I want to keep the pressure and maybe just stick it here. Okay, so he's doing this, but I'm going to attack the knight, which was my intention. The knight's defending this pawn, which I have pressure on. If he trades the knight, I mean, even better for me, less stuff on the board. It's really annoying he can't put a rook here. And he can't challenge me because everything hangs. I mean, if he doesn't want to lose this pawn, he either has to defend it or take my knight. could do this, but then I get his knight. And he doesn't get my bishop. And I'm going to sacrifice my bishop. Totally unnecessary. I get 2 pawns for it, so I give him back 1 point of material. But I mean, I know this is a winning position, so I don't really care. Let's lift our king up. It's going to be the blockader of his only asset in the position, which is this pawn. He's hitting our rook. It's a little weird. Doesn't really make sense. Because this pawn never goes anywhere because we just take it. Now we get to go on the 7th, and it just makes our game easier. You definitely should not be giving up a bishop for no reason. But this is just such an easy position to play because he can't contest this file. It just looks so nice and easy. So we just bring in our other rook. Now we can even force rook trades and go into just a winning endgame. And what do we want to do? We can force it this way because his stuff is hanging. That's one option. We can go here, attack this pawn. Let's lift this rook up, increase its activity, putting pressure on 2 more units of black. There's lots of ways to convert here, lots of different moves you could have done. This one, this one, this one, doesn't really matter. This one, could have moved the rook here, set this up. Okay, so he goes here. I guess he's finally trying to kick our bishop away, which makes sense. So I'll take a pawn. He can kick our bishop to another nice square. I don't mind. And contesting only means trades, so I'm up a piece. So he puts the rook here only to kick it this way. That's odd. So I'll just go to a nice square. I could even go here and blockade with my bishop because it puts pressure. But let's go with my first instinct and we'll put it here on a defended square. And I'm up a bishop. So this should be nice and easy. Double on the 7th. Put my king up a little bit, run the pawn a little bit. Maybe play g3 at some point if he comes closer. And black doesn't have any plans, and that's the problem. Elliot, when he had that massive 3 pawns, he had clear plan. He knew exactly what he wanted to do. He was going to put the rooks behind them and march them up the board. As soon as I gave my bishop up for those 2 pawns, he becomes planless because you can't do anything with this 1 pawn. So you see he's running his king up the board, but that's not a plan. It's a mistake. But we let him do it because we like mistakes. He's trying to get us to take this so that he can trap us. So here, h4, rook g8, takes anyway because it's a bishop. So let's take it. We are not getting trapped like Bobby Fischer because we have h4. If he takes our pawn, we just retreat. He wasn't expecting that move because this rook move doesn't do anything anymore. So he should take our pawn. He moves the king over, but this is the same, runs into the same problem. We escape. Maybe he'll kick it, but we'll just go back, say thank you for all the good stuff. I mean, he doesn't really have any more tries. He should probably resign. You know, in your head, you're like, oh, I have some pawns for that piece. Like he has a bishop, but I'm almost at the end game. I can almost turn this into a draw. Like that's the feeling a black player wants. Like, oh, it's not that bad. You know, I could just trade some pawns and it's a draw. But no, it's just completely losing. So he's double stacking on a pawn that's clearly not moving. So that's weird. He's also hanging stuff, so that's weird. Again, he's probably trying to set another trap. This guy loves traps. Um, can we refute this trap as well? Takes, he pushes, takes, but then he could take with the king. If he took with the rook, we'd have some check, but okay, so let's not fall directly into what he wants. And let's move our king up and say, why'd you put your rook there? So he does this anyway. I guess what else are you going to do? Let's put our bishop back to its nice square. He goes here trying to threaten a check, I guess. It's something. It's not really anything, but it's a try. I'm going to let him give us this check. That way it feels good for him, but I'm just going to go back and why'd you do that? You can't double because you'll hang a rook. And instead of giving him these checks, I want to set up a checkmating net. So the way to do that is by playing g4, covering the escape square, which he ignores. So when I go check, he has to go here, check, I bring in the other rook, and he has nowhere to go. He doesn't want me to put it on the board. That's a shame. So he resigns. Come on. Could have let me put it on the board, guy. I mean, you fell into it. It says that he's also in the analysis. Is there a way to kick these people out? Like, can I do this with him not being here? It's weird. Okay, so we have 2 inaccuracies, 96%. He played 89%. 2 inaccuracies, so pretty much a sweet game, perfect game. Let's go through it. Center, development, center, development, development, center. But I'm doing it in a way that's clearly countering his ideas as opposed to just developing my knight, which protects the d4 pawn. I know he's going to attack the e4 pawn. So that's why I developed in a way that protects that first. Development and center. Development and center. Free move, free improving move. Because if you get the bishop pair, that's good. It's good. See? And this pawn protects this. So when you have a knight here, it's not necessary. You could run it up the board because this pawn defends here. Whereas the e4 pawn, you see how we're dedicating pieces to it? So that's why doubled pawns are nice a lot of times when they support the center. Already it says it's plus 1.4 because of this pawn push, which wins material. So they want him to go back so he doesn't lose material. Back to e8, which is horrible. But he walks into our idea, plus 3.6, and we're immediately winning. If you just develop normally here, like knight out, which is probably what 99% of the people watching would do, you just miss out on winning the game. It's like, okay, well, how do I see that? Well, it's because I tell you every time, when they have knights here, and you have the potential to kick them, it might not be good, but you have to check. So, check. You see his knight can't go anywhere forward. You know he definitely doesn't want to go back, so we look at this square. Normally you're like, oh no, what am I doing? Why is it here? But we see that we have this idea, and these are common attacking ideas because once a knight is here, we're always trying to play e5 so we can Greek gift sacrifice. This was just a slight variance because we have no knight. So we push and we calculate the double threat. Boom. We also make sure he can't kick our queen away, ruining this whole idea. Free stuff. Forced move. We have to protect our pawn. And then again, he's just hanging pieces, so free stuff. Forced move. Here, nothing's forced. You have options. You can definitely develop the knight, the bishop. Who knows what else? Who knows what else? There might be weird moves here, but you can do other stuff. I just throw my bishop in here, but I feel like I probably should have just thrown it on g5 to start with. Either way. And then he just queen trades, and you should know that when you're up 2 pieces, you're winning the game, +5. He trades, we just castle. Our king is completely safe, forced move, and then we just try to develop and trade. Trade. And now it's +5.5. Bishop takes g6. What? Bishop takes g6. That wasn't the sack I was going for. And then bishop takes c4. They're both the same at +3.4. So they're the second and third best moves. So this sacrifice isn't completely crazy. It makes total sense because, like I said, he has this pawn mass. He's going to push it forward. That's his only idea. But what's this sack about? Like, why? The heck is this? Yeah, that makes no sense. That's a dumb one. There's no reason to sack it here if you're not going to checkmate him. At least sacking it here has a clear idea of ruining his pawn mass. What? Yeah, and the game's over, so there's nothing else really to look at. Once again, I guess the moral of the story in this 1700 game is there's 2 points. A main point is always look for the kicking the knight idea. As if you're black, or even if you're white, always consider your opponent pushing the pawn and calculate that. Because you need to be ready, you need to have a response for that at all times. As white, you always should calculate it and consider it on every turn. That's the main point. The second point is do not be afraid to double your pawns like this. This is not bad. This is, if anything, good. Or equal. Like it's a trade-off. It's not a negative. So those are the 2 takeaways. Consider the pawn push. Don't be afraid to double, especially queenside pawns when you're winning a bishop. So that's how to handle e6, b6. Hopefully this video helps you if someone tries this against you. Good luck in your chess.